Hello everyone, welcome. You're listening to a brand new episode of The Millennial Athlete with Tanvi and Shlok, a podcast of, for, and by the millennials. I'm your host Shlok Ramchandran.
And I'm your co host, Tanvi Lad. What's up, Shlok? How's life in SF?
Currently, I'm vacationing at my sister's house in SF. So yeah, so amidst all the bad news going on in India, I've managed to escape, and yeah, just chilling with my sister. But I've also been doing a lot of reading about who next. Like, since we are the millennial athlete, we've been covering a lot of top athletes and talking about athletes who are already in the frame. But I thought, let's talk about the millennials and who will possibly are going to take over the mantle from our senior pros in hopefully the 2022 season.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, throwback to episode 0 when we covered the stereotypes about millennial athletes in general. I remember, us talking about how lazy, entitled, self obsessed all of us are, but equally, there's a sense of urgency to achieve. We're all super achievers. Everyone's super, exposed currently and wants to make it big in 3 months, 6 months, wants to be world champion, Olympic gold medalist. So I think millennials as a generation are a different breed and a different ball game, pun intended, to deal with. And really happy to be able to discuss the topic with someone who we've been associated with, someone who's been part of the sports fraternity for the longest time. Abhijit Kulkarni, thank you for being on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, so Abhijit sir has probably seen us growing from millennials. I don't know if I can call myself an adult now, but just just a small recap about him. Abhijit has been a sports journalist for almost 2 decades now, with a specialization in badminton. He recently wrote the book titled "The Gopi Chand Factor: The Rise of Indian Badminton." In the past 20 years, he's worked with the biggies. He's worked with the Press Trust of India. He's worked with the Hindustan Times. He's also worked and identified talent with Lakshya Sports in across all disciplines. So yeah, so glad that finally I could get him on board for my podcast because we have unofficial talks about Indian sport every 3 weeks. So I'm glad that we are doing something official today.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it. Since we're all, badminton enthusiasts, to start with, let's start with badminton. Um, of course, the next big thing, in Indian badminton, the first name that comes to mind is, of course, Lakshya Sen. He's been making waves on the senior circuit. Broken into the top 30 and was well on course to break into the top 20 in his own words, was feeling fit, playing well, reached his maiden quarterfinals at the All England Championships, and now again we get into lockdown. What do you have to say about his journey so far and the path ahead for this young guy?
You're asking me?
Yes.
So, as a journey, like Lakshya Sen has been talked about since he was an 11-year-old. And very frankly, like as a journalist, when first I was called and people spoke about Lakshya Sen, my first reaction was let him become 16 years old, and if he's still dedicated to the sport, then I'll maybe probably start writing about it. But yes, I followed his journey. I followed his journey like most of the kids I have been following in badminton. And there has been a special maturity about Lakshya Sen, the way he has gone about his badminton. The one thing that has only worried me is the number of injuries he has had so early in the career. But I guess he is in the right hands. He is in the right hands in the sense he has a trainer, he has a sports psychologist, he has physio, a coach, everybody working with him, which is probably like when you guys started moving from that 17, 18 to the seniors, you are all alone with your coach telling you what to do. With Lakshya, the best part is the system is in place. So we expect him to get moving. Like Shlok was saying, he reached the top 30. Yes, there was a chance where he could have even pushed for Olympic qualification, but his coaches were smart enough to not put pressure on him. And luckily, the COVID pandemic hit, and then everything went haywire. But yes, in terms of talent, he is the biggest talent we have right now, who is already starting to perform. But there are many other names, and I guess you all know because it's badminton, you have been following them. There are many other names, but let's see.
Talking about his team, Lakshya has had, like, I remember when I was at the Prakash Padukone Academy, he was this 10-year-old kid who wanted to go to arcade every Sunday and would irritate the hell out of me to do that. He's had a team ever since he was 11 or 12. He's been this project of the Prakash Padukone Academy of Vimal Kumar, who's invested a lot in him ever since a very young age. And so that is the kind of effort it's been put on a single kid when he was 11, so that he's doing it now. There is so Lakshya Sen is not a project which has happened in 2 years. Like Vijit sir said, he's a project which happening probably when he was 9, because I remember he came to the setup when he was 10. Apart from that, one worrying factor with Lakshya, I feel, is that sometimes he just switches off in matches. If you had a look at his performance at the Swiss Open where he played Victor Svendenson, it just felt like he's nowhere on the court, and it happens to him. Like even when he played Vittingus in last year's All England, was doing so well, and then he suddenly switches off. Um, Anything like in particular, any red you see in Lakshya Tanvi? My question this way: any red flags so far? Not like forget about his physical. I'm talking about tactical. Any red flags so far?
I think, I mean, as an athlete, there is always, being, having a bad day is something that all of us go through. And, for someone, it may be, feeling mentally out of sync. For someone, it may be, that your body is not supporting you, or you may pick up an injury or a niggle or you may not recover well. So in his case, being with the flair and the talent that he has, he's quite a natural. I don't think he, if he's trained well, he kind of flows, and we see that flow very often. But he's human after all, and I guess having a bad day isn't too bad. I mean, we shouldn't come down too heavily on him. He's young and probably needs to learn to deal with his emotions and with his mind a little better. Become a lot calmer, in especially now that he's playing only the super series, only the super 500s. He will be up against the topmost. Like we did see him play really well against Victor Axelsen at the All England, and I think he played a very mature game. He was calm, he was in control, he was playing the long rallies, patient. But at the same time, there will be, like he played a Victor Svensson and he wasn't, up to mark. But I think that's something that he will learn with time. And as long as he has the right team around him, I think no worries there.
Look, just a point, and not this is not just about Lakshya. When we speak about this going to sleep sometime when he's playing, and this is something we have seen across sports. Like I have worked with some sports persons as a kid, and I have seen this. What happens is when you are anointed as a star too early, and you start winning, and it happens where at the age of 15 or 16 you are beating an under 19 player, and you think you have arrived, and when you make that switch to the senior, the level changes. The level of just concentration changes. And when you are playing your first season or second season, it's very easy to fall into the trap that, boss, I have arrived, and how am I not winning? And then you just break down. I think that happens, and that is why whenever the coaches speak to players, they always tell you it takes 2 years to start performing consistently on the senior circuit. I think he's just in the second year, and this
Yeah.
whole disruption will just cut some slack to him and hope that he matures faster.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, right? So we've gone up and down in the rankings in our respective careers also. So getting into the top 50 is kind of the easier part, but maintaining that season after season, and once you have to defend points, I think that is when the pressure starts. And you, I mean, I absolutely love Akshay, and I hope that he goes on to at least a minimum become a top 10 player, because that's what his potential is, and that's what Vittingus has said, that's what Prakash sir has said. But moving on from Lakshya, there is this another kid, talking about expectations. Father is India international and a national champion. Brother is a Thomas Cupper. And then you've got third in the family, Kiran George. He beat HS at the Orleans Master. He beat Mark Kaliov also. Has in the past 2 years has been the most successful in the Indian domestic circuit. Not obviously in the national championships, you didn't get the medal there, but in terms of domestic tournament, very extremely consistent. And do you feel it's time that in 2022 that he's going to probably come out of that group and possibly become the person to challenge Laksh, Abhijit?
I think there are a couple of guys. What I like about Kiran Mosikli is the ease with which he plays. Uh, and the real challenge for Kiran is going to be to maintain that ease, but still put in that kind of an effort. Because for me, a lot of times when it comes too easy to you, like it looks very easy to you,
Hmm. Hmm.
that continuously putting that kind of an effort to keep going sometimes is not that easy. And I have known Kiran, I have known his father as well because he has been on the circuit. One of the very hardworking guys and a very good reader of the game. His father was an excellent reader of the game. Now that certain genes have come naturally to him, but those genes are not going to take him to become a champion. I think that transition, how he does, is what is going to decide whether we are going to get the next Shrikant or we are going to get somebody who is not going to fulfill his potential.
And we on that one, I mean, we're talking about expectations, right? It is tough. Like, let's say, like somebody like an Arjun Tendulkar is always going to be compared to Sachin. Somebody like Gayatri Gopichand is always going to be compared to Gopi sir. And I think Kiran so far has done a good job being the younger brother of Arun George and obviously the son of the great George Thomas, who, like just Abhijit sir said, like everyone right from like Gopi sir's, he was Gopi sir's go-to guy
Yeah.
ever since he came into the Indian. So if you have to be Gopi sir's go-to guy, you need to understand the characteristics of the guy. He must be that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So far, do you think from a mental point of view, he's handled the pressure well of coming from a very coveted family?
Um, like you said, his nature wise, I think he's cool and calm, and that reflects in his playing style as well. He's quite at ease on court, and yes, like Abhijit mentioned, the challenge is for him to maintain that while still putting in that kind of effort to at the senior level and on the international circuit. But I think another big challenge for him is probably going to be because I mean, all said and done, he is in Laksh's shadow. He is training at the same academy, and with Laksh being Project Laksh ever since he was 9. A bunch of and this is something we've noticed, at academies, this does tend to happen. There have to be favorites. There is no doubt that it's a given. There will be favorites because they're the ones who are winning, or gunning to win an Olympic medal or a Commonwealth medal. And then, the level is so high in a country like India that, you may be a top 10, 15, 20 player, but you're still, number 2, 3, 4 in the list of priorities. So that's another mental challenge, which it would be interesting to see how he kind of handles that. Being in Laksh's shadow, I'm sure he's getting great sparring. The training will be definitely on point, and he will have the right coaches to guide him. But mentally, I think that is something he will have to deal with.
Abhijit, what next for Kiran? What are you expecting in the 2022 season? A possible top 50
Frankly,
position?
frankly, now the real thing when I'm talking to a lot of players over the last 1 and 6 months, 7 months, the real challenge is how do you come out of that pandemic and start performing again? For players like Kiran or even Lakshya, I'm willing to give them a year. I'm not expecting them to do something because these were guys who were looking to like jump out of somebody's shadows and start performing,
Yeah.
and missing out on 1.5 years
Hmm.
of that era, of that critical time is not going to be easy mentally. I hope as Lakshya has a team, the team is also and PPBA is also looking after Kiran and some other kids who are playing there. to keep them ready, because it's not easy. You may be physically ready, you may be training well, you may be playing well whenever you get to, but it is not mentally easy to just jump and start playing. It's going to be a task. So I will be happy even if he can bring in those big match results. Even if he's not consistent, he can show to himself that he can win those big matches, and then start preparing, taking it from there.
Purely from a talent point of view, Tanvi, where do you see him? Possible top 20 player?
Yeah, I think
Abhijit, what
he's.
about you?
Yeah, like I think if he doesn't break into the top 20 after 1.5 full year of this thing, then he's going to be under his own pressure to do something. And I have seen his brother also going through that pressure when he was playing really well at the juniors, then
Hmm.
suddenly
Yeah.
shifted to doubles because he couldn't make that jump.
Yeah. Moving on to another event, but just to talk about other names who missed out on our list: Priyanshu Rajawat, Kaushal Dharmamair, Ariman Tandon, Mithun Manjunath, Siddharth Pratap Singh, all of these, fantastic pool of men singles players. We obviously, because of time, we can't talk about a lot, but to all our listeners out there, please also keep an eye and watch out for these men single stars. Now, moving on to women singles. Now, we are all three going to have conflicting interests here because I feel that we are going to have a different name. So, I'm going to start off with Tanvi, whom she thinks, because she is still an active women singles player. So, I'm going to ask her, like, who she thinks is the most threatening player in that 18 to 21 category right now.
So to start with, I think it's a very heartening sign has been in the past couple of years, like Abhijit said, that we see this team around every athlete. So we've seen a couple, to name a few. There's Malvika Bansod, we have Ashmita Chaliha, we have Akarshi Kashyap, Gayatri Gopichand, of course. So this whole bunch of juniors have a physio traveling with them, have, or a trainer traveling with them. They have a hands-on coach who's literally someone who's coached them, is also there traveling with them for their matches. So tactically, at that point of time, when you need that, at 19 all, when you need your coach who knows you really well to give you that little piece of advice and help you win that crucial match, he's there. And that all has started because they've started being funded, with organizations like Go Sports and OGQ coming into the system. I think all of them have that little extra, and they're willing to put in that kind of money into, they're investing that money into themselves. They're traveling with a team. They're realizing the importance of it, and they're doing it super professionally, which is something the previous generations didn't really do. I mean, we would train well and train really hard at the academy, but then very often you're traveling on your own. You don't end up managing your actual tour very professionally, and you end up losing matches which you could have gone on to actually win. And that's then has, that's like setting off the wrong cycle in motion. So I think to start with, we have a great pool. The girls I mentioned have been doing really well nationally. They've also started playing the international circuit really young, which has given them a lot of exposure to start with, and they're now fairly confident about their own strengths and weaknesses. They're fairly adapted to what the competition looks like, and I think all of them have a great future.
You're being a little diplomatic, I get that. Abhijit, your pick in this emerging pool of
So
players?
you want a cynical journalist approach, or just a person who follows the sport a lot more?
We can have a mix. You can have 50-50%.
The biggest challenge for Indian badminton and women's singles is going to be, you are always going to be compared by a Saina and a Sindhu, and it's not going to be easy for anybody.
True.
So when you are speaking about 18 to 21, by 18 to 21, Saina and Sindhu had arrived, and there
I
is
see. In 17 they
nobody
had
on the
arrived. Yeah.
horizon. Yeah, there is
Yeah.
nobody on the horizon. The bigger problem which I see in women's singles, there are a lot of consistently good players at the national level in India. Like you speak of Malvika Bansod, you speak of uh, Akarshi Kashyap, or anybody. What I see, and something which was during Tanvi's group also, a group ahead of Tanvi also, there were a lot of consistent players, but lacked that special something that is needed to succeed at the international level, strength wise, speed wise. And I think in that entire bunch, for me, only Ashmita Chalia has that special
Something.
strength-wise something that can make her a next level player. I do not see any of these other players being those top 10, top 20 players consistently or winning big tournaments. To win that big tournament, no, like something which one of the very senior coach had told me when he was watching a sport, you hear the punch of a player in women's singles and you know whether the player has the level to go international. I don't see that punch. I don't hear that punch when I'm watching those matches.
I think Ashmita is a absolute beautiful player to watch too. Uh,
Just to
left-handed.
cut, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, go
Go,
ahead.
go, go. You can cut me out. It's
No,
okay.
no, no. I was gonna cut you to say that that's something like that smash tap that you see Ashmita display is something that we've all done it in multi, but we actually see her implemented in a match, which is a great sign. It's a heartening sign to see her jump up on her forehand and move in and actually kill the shuttle. So that's a very heartening sign. I mean, we see Marin doing it and we appreciate it, but we see that streak in Ashmita.
Like the only player which who could do it in the past like that was probably I don't know what is her name. Sorry, the girl who beat
Juliana Schenk.
no Indian.
Oh, Indian. Okay.
Uh, okay, I'll
I
remember
can't
her
remember
name.
the last time like an Indian girl was smashing and tapping
Yeah,
apart from Sindhu. Maybe
there was the only no there was the only girl even at 19 would play a jump smash.
Ashwini Ponappar?
Krishna Deka
I
Raja.
don't know.
Krishna
Oh,
Dekaraja.
Krishna
Okay.
Krishna
Dekaraja.
Deka
Yeah,
Raja.
yeah,
Strong legs.
Yeah,
Oh
she
my
could
God.
go do a jump smash like she was hitting it like a boy.
Yeah.
yeah. True. Yeah, but talking about
And very
Ashmita,
few people
yeah.
remember that she beat Saina 11-0,
0
11-0 in a
11 0.
national
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
final.
yeah, yeah. I've heard of that.
True. But yeah, talking about Ashmita, apart from that, the kid has got heart. I remember we were playing the Sudirman Cup qualifiers, and I was part of the squad, and we had a must-win tie against Taipei, and she was playing the women's singles, and she was playing a much higher ranked player. Uh, and the day before, she lost to Yojia Min in 3 games, and there was like a tough sapping match on the body. And I asked her next day at breakfast that I call her like a tomboy. I was like, hey tomboy, are you ready to play today? She like, "Ay, bhaiya, dekh logi." Kya-" And she went out and she won. And it was very unfortunate that we lost 3-2 in that tie because we were playing with a very young squad. But that day I realized that she's just not about talent. She's got some substance too. I just hope that she gets a little stronger legs because I worry about her legs being too skinny and that she might fall apart. Uh, but yeah, for sure, in that group, my pick is Ashmita Chaliha. Uh, I love the way Malvika Bansod plays. I like how Akarshi plays, but Ashmita has that X factor. So for sure, it is Ashmita Chaliha for me, and I can say that because I don't play pro badminton anymore. So I can say that with full confidence. Okay, moving on. We got women's singles now. Now it's the tough part. Now we are moving into the paired events. Uh, let's start off with an event which has been struggling for a very long time, and we've had. If I could like post research papers, I could do at this point of time because I've been talking and Abhijit and I've been talking about this for so long. Women's doubles. It's been such a huge problem where when we were talking about this list, I was struggling to get names right. So we've got again a decent player pool of players. We've got Simran Singhi, Ritika Thakkar, current junior national champions. We've got Tanisha Crasto. We've got Teresa Jolly. We don't know what's happening with Aditi Bhatt. Is she playing singles? Is she playing doubles? Um Again, everybody there, but I don't think anybody is there yet. If that makes any sense, Abhijit, your perspective on the next gen women doubles players and and what do they need to do so that they at least make the if they do not make the top 50 in the next 2 years, it's not going to happen for sure. Because you look at women doubles players right now in Japan, Malaysia, and China, all are in that 19 to 23 category. And if they make it by then, they make it, and then they're there. Like there's this new pair from Malaysia who's taken it by storm, Pearly Tan and M. Tina. They've been so good, and they're what 21, 22. So Abhijit, again, on to you. Who do you feel can come from this group, and what do they need to do, or what does the federation or the coaches
I
need to
think
do?
two very important things. the one most important thing, none of these players have the strength to play women's like hit. You cannot play women's doubles internationally with this. Either you have that kind of hit, or you play the Indonesian style where you can defend everything
Mm.
Yeah.
and keep the rally going. None of the Indian doubles women's players have the ability to do either. One of the reasons why Jwala and Ashwini succeeded was they were very aggressive and they could hit. They somewhere lacked the defense, but they
Mm.
could win by hitting.
Mm.
And none of these other girls which we are talking about are consistent in both. They don't have the strength to hit and they don't have the defense required. So either whoever is working with them need to decide if they can't hit, fine. Can they be a retrieving
Mm.
machine? And are we working on that? I don't think we have enough coaches who can teach you how to retrieve well for doubles.
Mm.
Like singles is a different ball game, doubles is a different ball game. You tactically retrieve. I don't think we are still teaching kids how to retrieve. Like you we have seen this, you have seen this from very close quarters. Chirag Satvik are the best example. They
Yeah.
could hit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there was a foreign coach who taught them tactically how to retrieve as well, but they are still learning. If we
Mm.
want to make that change in women's doubles, we'll have to bunch 8-10 girls together
Mm.
and say, okay, this is your camp. You are going to be here for a year and learning how to play women's doubles the way international women's doubles is played. Women's doubles played in India and women's doubles played in international badminton is completely different.
True.
That is one part. I think what you have missed out on one name where I see the strength of hitting, but not the intelligence of badminton because there is not enough exposure, is the new kid from Orissa. Sorry. Again, I'm missing. I'm not.
Rutaparna Panda.
Rituparna Panda, who can hit,
Guys, she's
has
not
the
like next
heart.
gen. She's like she's there
Yeah,
already. Like
yeah.
she's
No, she's
established
not
herself
next gen,
as
but
yeah,
the
yeah,
lucky or unlucky part is she hasn't played enough
yeah,
because every
sure.
time she
I played
starts
mixed doubles
winning,
with her, so yeah, she like hardly played anything. Yeah,
yeah, every time she starts winning, her women's doubles partner gets injured, and then for next 6 months she has no partner to play with.
yeah, true.
I Otherwise she has that kind of a game where she can
Yeah,
hit, she can retrieve, she has the strength. Basically, she
Yeah.
has the
Yeah.
strength which the
Yeah.
other girls
Yeah.
lack.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
it's the
Technically, I
physical
think
part which has
there's
to
a
win.
bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Technically, I think there's a bit of an issue, but I think Tanisha Crasto and Rutaparna Panda can become a good pair because Tanisha is better technically,
Yeah.
and she's got the physical ability. She's tall and she looks a little more stronger. But again, with Tanisha, you will have to eventually take a call with her going to women's doubles or mixed doubles.
Yeah.
I have realized that in the women's doubles circuit, you only need to play women's doubles.
Yes.
Like guys can play maybe men's and mixed only a very given few, but I do not think I have not seen anybody in the women's circuit apart from Lauren Smith to be playing two events. It's either women doubles or either it's mixed doubles in the past 2 years. Korea did that in the past and they struggled. Now they've realized that they're not going to do that. So they've completely shifted Cheyu Jung into mixed doubles, and now they've got the rest of the lot. They've got Changyena and everybody just playing solid women doubles. Then we do think a coach and just like Abhijit said, a camp, a concentrated women doubles camp with somebody who's got expertise in women doubles and maybe get an assistant coach like a Pradnya Gadre there and like a physical. That is the way forward.
Yeah, in fact, before I answered that question, I was, going to, since you're the stalwart in the doubles category, I was going to pose a question to you as to whether, I mean, Ashwini is still actively competing, but, having played at the highest level, being one of the best women's doubles players we've produced, having someone like Jwala and Ashwini in the system as coaches, like Abhijit rightly pointed out, I think someone needs to teach them how to be a lot tactically better, because right now it's almost like singles discards those who couldn't make it in singles, those who weren't fit enough start playing doubles and then learn on the job. But it's not that the talent has been identified early on and they've been actually taught how to play doubles as a discipline. So having someone like Jwala or Ashwini, or the both of them, really come back into the system, have a bunch of players, give them a set of goals, and evaluate from time to time, I think I wanted to ask you if that's that should be a game plan going ahead.
I think Ashwini is going to play for a couple of years more, especially I think she's after the 21 Olympics, she's going to choose if she wants to play women's or mixed. Because I think she's going to push on till the next Asian Games and Commonwealth because she's fit enough. And then if she just limit herself to one event, I think she has the hunger to even continue. Talking about Jwala already has an academy now. Obviously, somebody like Jwala, if she would come into the setup, like a massive difference. But I don't know if she has the time commitment right now to give. I think the short term solution right now is possibly get a good foreign coach and get somebody who's already in the system to assist. And just like Abhijit said, concentrated pool of 10 to 12 players, put them through that grind in that 6 to 8 months, and then possibly form pairs. Don't go like, if it is okay if you want to like switch them up, say on player to player. It doesn't mean that they've been successful in the juniors, they'll be successful in the seniors, right? Have a camp 6 to 8 months, see who can possibly play with who can do what, and then work on their speed, power, and make new combinations. You cannot like continue. That's what Kim Tan-her did, right? When he came in, Chirag was playing with Arjun Amar, Satvik was playing with Krishna Prasad, I was playing with Sayyam Shukla. He just came and he just said that, okay guys, you guys are doing well, but I know that none of you will possibly make it to the top 50 if you continue to play like this. And he switched everything, and it took time. And within 1 year now, all of them, eventually made top 50 and played well. So I think I would say that Jwala may be on the long term option, but we can't wait that long. I mean, we waited so long. I mean, I hope Abhijit agrees
Yeah.
on my opinion on this one.
One name I think which we missed. I like her playing the way she plays doubles, but with extremely unfit is Ashwini.
Oh
Not
yeah,
the Ashwini Bhatt,
Ashwini Bhatt.
Ashwini
not
Bhatt. Yeah,
Ashwini.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
extremely unfit. Plays brilliant doubles,
national
intelligent,
champions, the current national
National
uh,
champions too.
champion.
Yeah,
intelligent,
Hmm.
yeah.
but no fitness.
No
So
fitness. Yeah.
No fitness. Yeah, that's a big issue. Like I saw them playing at the All England Championships.
Yeah.
I thought they played a decent match, to be honest, against Lauren Smith and
Chloe
Chloe
Birch.
Birch. I thought they played a
yeah,
decent match. I
Yeah.
think Shikha Gautam is good. She's steady. She's got that retrieval kind of a game. She's got
Hmm.
decent power. Former singles player, obviously. Ashwini Bhatt needs to get a lot more fitter. I mean,
because
she's
she has
definitely
brilliant
got the
hands.
strokes.
She has brilliant
Brilliant hand,
hands.
absolutely. She can look at small pouches of space around the court. She's smart. She knows how to take the quick points.
Yeah.
Good service return. One of the players who also does the forehand service. She's slowly learning backhand. Again, has had a good run of mixed doubles performance with Sai Pratik Krishna Prasad. Again, she will come to a point if she has to play international badminton, choose one event and stick to it rather than playing two events and do well at the domestic level and like be average at the international level. I think Tanisha Krashto, Ashwini Bhatt, Ishan Bhatnagar, a lot of these players are going to have to make this decision sooner rather than later. That was select one event, and then or unless you are like a talent like Satvik, where the country needs you, you play. But I think it's time that they select one event because that's the trend, right? Praveen Jordan isn't playing mixed doubles. Kevin Sanjay is not playing mixed doubles. They are focusing on one event, and where are they now? They're absolutely at the top of the level. So I think talking about Ashwini Bhatt and Shikha Gautam, great prospects. I think they're not in the national center yet. I don't know what's the point there. But Jagdish Yadav, fair credit to him. He's worked on them for a very long time, and he's gone with them to the All England. He's really putting in the hard works at the Yadav Pro Academy with them. So I think that they've got a future. But again, I think get everybody in one camp, get one good coach, two assistants, so that you get like a good 2-3 pairs out of them and see how it goes.
Abhijit, I had a question for you about, we've always discussed this, that women's players, I mean, we've always had to work with male coaches. So that's another point that I feel may be affecting the women's doubles camp. Having a women's coach who kind of understands the mindset of we saw the difference in women's singles when when Kim came in, and helped Sindhu clinch that world title. It wasn't, Gopi sir has molded Sindhu, but there was something maybe that a female coach could understand about Sindhu's mindset going into a big tournament, like the World Championship. So, do you think having a female coach, whether it's a foreign coach or an Indian, working with the Indian squad would help?
I think the first real challenge is to get the right coach. Let's not talk about male and female, because when I look at this thing, when you're also giving an example of Sindhu, it's not that Sindhu's base was made by Kim. It's that special something that you need. Sometimes you don't even need a coach. You can have a good physio working with you who can relax you and play and get you to play the best. I think what we really need is a coach who understands doubles, who can, yes, somebody who can understand women's doubles in India. Because if a Chinese or a Japanese coach is going to come in India and start teaching women's doubles, it's going to be very difficult because they won't understand how the girls in India play doubles. Like, that's a very different approach. I think sometimes I feel that we need another Gopi type guy who
Hmm.
takes an hunter and drills things into us.
Hmm.
Like in women's doubles, we need to drill those drills into women's doubles. Our women's doubles girls play women's doubles like they are playing singles. And I think, though, like you see Ishan Bhatnagar or a Satvik Sairaj or even Shlok to a matter, they decided to play doubles quite early in their career, started thinking of doubles. Even today, the names we are talking about are still playing singles, thinking of making big in singles, and if they can't make it big in singles, they have a fallback option on doubles. I don't think that's going to work.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean, if you look at that, the Japanese women doubles head coach, I can't seem to recall his name. K Nakashima. He's been around for such a long time, and look the results. He's a male coach. I mean, I'm not saying that it could be male or female, but he just produces pairs like it's like he just picks somebody 2 years later top 20. I mean, they've got what, 8 pairs in the top 30? That is ridiculous. You can't. It's
But
not allowed.
but
Sorry,
we
Japan, you're
don't know
not
what the
doing that.
grassroots system is there. We don't know what the
Exactly.
grassroots system is there. These
Yeah.
are national center coaches, but somebody has
Yeah.
drilled those doubles playing abilities in the players. I think that
True.
is where the challenge is. I remember Prakash sir telling me about 10 years back. The problem with Indian doubles is none of our grassroots coaches know how to teach doubles. So by the time you come to the national center, you have no idea how doubles is played. I think that
Like
needs
I
to
shifted to
change if
doubles
our
when I
double.
was 19.
Yeah.
So and it's changing.
And you had a
But
coach at
yeah,
at a younger age who knew how to play doubles, who played for
true.
India, who played doubles
Exactly.
for
So
India.
yeah, talking about men's and mixed doubles now. Men's doubles obviously Chirag Satvik right up there. New combination Arjun and Dhruv started off well, first couple of tournaments, but they didn't realize that people are actually watching and like are going to study them. Had a dip, and then you had Krishna Prasad and Vishnuvardhan Gaud, who suddenly out of nowhere played so well at the Orleans Master. Depleted field, that's okay. But again, some more names in the mix: Sai Pratik, Krishna Prasad, Ishan Bhatnagar. There also. I don't know what's happened with Manjeet Singh and Dinku. The Manipuri pair was also doing well. Abhijit, in that group of players, somebody to look up to in the next couple of seasons.
Yes, I think I have a lot of expectation from Dhruv and Arjun. But like you said, they need to invent themselves, because in international doubles you get found out, and tactically again we are not that good.
Hmm.
Like even Satvik Chirag struggle sometimes
Hmm.
tactically
Hmm.
despite playing that. Like Goud, yes, I'm interested because he has the strength to play. He can
He's
play really
physically
well.
good. He's good
Yes,
physically.
but I like you said, it is for the coaches to decide on a partner with whom he can excel and not just stay with the partner he has, because somewhere again he's that lone warrior who is exceptional like Satvik was,
Hmm.
and then you needed to find a partner to gel with Satvik. I think you will need to find a partner to gel with him. The problem with Dinku, Manjeet, and all these players, they have been playing really well for short span and they just go off. There are a lot of players who have done that. So I don't know about them much because they are like out of anybody's visual
Radar right
line.
now.
Yeah, we don't know where they are playing. And
Yeah.
unless I think if we want to be successful in doubles, I will only put money on the players who are at the national camp and who are consistently there, because I don't think this concept which we had for years that you play in Kerala, I play in Mumbai, and we only come for tournaments is going to work.
Mm, that's true.
Tanvi, from whatever you've seen of doubles, I don't know that how much you. Uh, where do you think Ishan Bhatnagar and Sai Pratik, Krishna Prasad stand in? Do you think that they are more suited towards in the men doubles, or do you still want them to continue doing well in the mixed doubles, because that's where they've gotten the results in the past 2 years?
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, from whatever I've seen of them, I think both of them, I see them as mixed doubles players. Whether it's Sai Pratik with
Yeah.
Ashwini and Ishan with Tanisha, I think, I mean, from a men's doubles perspective, they do have a long way to go. They may have spurts and sparks, of brilliance, but mixed doubles is where we've actually seen them produce some good results. And if they're actually developed, and if they're asked to make the switch and choose one event early on, which is now, I think they have a bright future ahead.
Abhijit, could you possibly think they could be 2 and 3 to Satvik in the future, Sai Pratik and Ishan Bhatnagar, if they find the right mixed doubles partners and like focus completely on mixed doubles?
I think Ishan and Tanisha can be a really, really good pair. If like I know Tanisha needs to develop as a doubles also, because we don't have women's doubles to that level. But I think if we can just leave Tanisha and Ishan to just play mixed doubles, we can have a really formidable mixed doubles pair. And then maybe if we can leave Ishan out, and then Gaud and Sai Pratik can try to focus on doubles, we can have one decent doubles pair and a one decent mixed doubles pair. Maybe I have a very low expectations, but two pairs consistently playing at the international level for next 3 4 years and coming up is a good enough point in one. I don't want to see six. I don't think that we can have 5 6 pairs. So let's put all our money on the two pairs which we can get and get the
Yeah.
best out of them.
Do you see Sikki pairing up with one of them in the next couple of seasons? I mean, because this is what a lot of pairs, if you know this pair from Hong Kong, China, Tang Chun Man and Se Sung Set, she's actually 5 years elder to Tang Chun Man. And then Tang Chun Man was just, I remember Tang Chun Man is at the same batch of me, doing very well in men doubles and also mixed doubles. But then Hong Kong, China Federation picked Tang Chun Man and said, okay, Se Sung Set, you're going to groom him. And then obviously they became a top 5 pair. Do you see Sikki coming and doing that same job with one of maybe Sai Pratik or maybe like Ishan Bhatnagar if Tanisha moves into women doubles in the next couple of seasons?
I will ideally like that, and I will say this, and there is some kind of a respect for Jwala which I have, and this is a story I don't know whether many people know, but when Jwala and Shruti broke as a pair, uh, there was very easy for Jwala and Shruti both to take senior players as partners.
Mm.
And Jwala went with Ashwini, who was just a rookie then. Like really nobody, like just a junior national champion, and nobody knew. Ashwini was not even sure whether she wanted to play singles or doubles at that stage.
Mm.
I think I would like a Sikki or even an Ashwini to take a junior partner. If we are not after this Olympics, even if Ashwini wants to play, I would like to Ashwini to take a women's doubles, a junior partner, and groom a
Yeah,
junior partner
yeah, yeah.
rather than just playing with Sikki and
True.
focusing on the world rankings. Like it is also the coach's job to say, okay, the Olympics is 4 years later. Maybe Ashwini may not be there till the Olympics. So why not use her to groom the next women's doubles player?
True. I think it's not happened enough in India. You've seen
That has
like
not
Grazia
happened in
Polly
India. That
in
has not
India. It
happened in
hasn't
Happened
India.
happened.
in India.
Yeah. Grazia Polly did it with Apriyani Rahayu also, and look where
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
reached.
yeah.
Chen Pang Sung, when Go Liu Ying was injured, took Lai Pei-jing out of nowhere and played the Commonwealth, and Lai Pei-jing eventually became a top 10 player. I think like even we could do that with a Pranav Chopra also right now. Pranav Chopra
Lilian
is in his late.
Natsir played with so many different
Yeah.
generation
Yeah,
players.
yeah.
Leong
I
Day
think,
did it.
yeah. I think Sumit Reddy, Pranav Chopra, all of these players, Manu Atri, who are in their late 20s, can actually get a younger player in their respective events for the next couple of seasons. And, you know, if everything goes well, they could also be a formidable combination. But if not, these guys will soak everything what they have, and then possibly move into better careers and what they will have. On that note, we come to end of part 1 of the Next Gen Athletes. We covered badminton here. We will continue with other sports next week. We'll still trouble Abhijit to come on as our guest for the next episode as well. We'll be covering shooting, table tennis, and hopefully a lot more sports. So stay tuned, guys. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow IVM on their social media handles, that is at the rate IVM podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you have any suggestions, feel free. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram with the handle at the rate SHLOKH95.
And you can write to me on at Tanvilad93 on Instagram and Twitter.
You can find Abhijit on Twitter. He's extremely vocal on Twitter also, or you can like write to him also. So stay tuned, guys. Until then, ciao. We shall be back very soon with part 2 of this episode. Take care, guys. Stay safe.
IVM.